All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining today for this AIA-CEU approved event, Advancing Sustainability with High Insulation Values. It's presented today by the team at Old Mill Building Products. So we've got Parker Harvey on and Kirk Harris here today. They're going to be giving the CEU portion. My name is Bo. I'm with Acelab. We are helping out with hosting today's event. I'm just going to give a quick little intro about Acelab, show you guys how to use Acelab to get in touch with today's presenters. So if you have any follow-up questions, that's a great way to do so. And then we'll get started with the CEU portion. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm with Acelab. We provide free non-sponsored product research tools. This is a quick snapshot of our team. So once I kind of finish my quick intro, I'll launch a quick poll if you'd like to get in touch with anyone from our team to learn some more about Acelab, as well as how we provide kind of one-on-one spec advisory support and help using our tools. You can let us know that during the poll. We've got a whole team of architects who are working to be able to help other architects with using our platform, looking through our database, and being able to, make the best product selections for their projects. So this is a quick kind of illustration of the workflows that we're working to solve. So the ability to get in touch with the right people, access your product information, and overall streamline your research when it comes to product selection. All right, with that, I'll quickly jump over to Acelab, show you how to use the search bar to get in touch with Old Mill Building Products. Again, if you would like to know some more about any of the tools that we have here, so our search tools, our product library, our conversation portal, feel free to respond to the poll and let me know, and we will get someone in touch with you who can help out. But if you know exactly the manufacturer you're looking for, you can always use the search bar at the top. You can type in the name of any manufacturer, and that'll start to auto-populate. You can head over to their page on Acelab. And here you've got this great contact button where you can get in touch with Parker directly. So this is a great place to come after today's event. If you have any follow-up questions, if you have a project you'd like to get in touch about, feel free to use this page so that you can get in touch with them easily. All right, with that, just want to thank everyone again so much for joining today. We did ask for AIA numbers upon registration. I will also send over a form in the chat just in case you're worried you didn't submit yours. You can let us know that during the forum at any point in today's webinar. And lastly, I also just want to encourage folks to please ask questions during today's event. You can use the Q&A box to submit your questions at any time. We'll have some time towards the end of today's event to answer some of those aloud. And if we do not get to your question, we'll have a record of it so that the team can follow up after today's webinar. All right, that's it for my quick intro. With that, I would love to hand it over to you, Parker, to get started with today's event. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, Bo. So I am Parker Harvey. Thanks for joining. I am the National Account Executive with Old Mill Building Products. Before we jump in and tackle our course objectives, I'd like to give you a little background on Old Mill Building Products. I'm gonna go ahead and steal the share screen, Bo.
Go for it.
All right, can you see my slide?
Yep, looks great.
Awesome. So our presentation, our course today is called Advancing Sustainability with High Insulation Values. But let's get a little background out there first on Old Mill Building Products. So we were founded in 2007. Formerly, we were branded as Old Mill Thin Brick, but over the years, we have expanded our product portfolio to much more than just specifically thin brick. Now we provide stone ledger, tile, as well as the thin brick. So that's where Old Mill Building Products came from, opposed to Old Mill Thin Brick. That rebranding just occurred about 2 months ago. Our owner, or our founder rather, part owner now, he's an individual who owns an exterior finish construction company. He has installed every kind of exterior finish, from eaves, stucco, traditional brick, etc. He's done, if you can name it with an exterior finish, he's definitely installed it or had his hands on it. But when it came to installing masonry veneer, which has gotten very popular over the last couple of decades, he felt that there was something missing when he would install certain systems. So with his 30+ years of experience installing, he developed Old Mill's 2 patented products, Brickweb and Panel Plus. So these products, they were invented by someone with installing in their DNA. We'll touch on these a little bit, but besides those 2 patented products, we offer countless colors, patterns, styles of thin brick, stone ledger, and tile. So we can essentially accommodate virtually any project's finish requirement, inside and out, interior or exterior. There you can see our product brands, Old Mill Brick, that will be the Brickweb, our thin brick individuals, Old Mill Accents, our stone ledger, our tile, and Old Mill Systems. And that's where the commercial division lies. That's where my jurisdiction lies. So a little overview of Old Mill building products. Here's a little quick tidbit on Brickweb. It is brick mesh web product with thin brick directly adhered to it. This is patented. We can supply Brickweb flats, corners, herringbone. This is a retail product sold in big box stores all over the nation, through Home Depot, Lowe's, Floor and Decor. You're probably familiar with this product. It's a very hot ticket item for us. A lot of do-it-yourselfer home renovators love to use this product. If you look at our social media, LinkedIn, even Instagram, super popular product that our customers like to showcase once they've completed a project. But very easy to install. It is genuine kiln fired clay brick, saves you on time, labor costs, cuts easily, and meets ASTM requirements. So just a quick look at Brickweb. And then of course, Panel Plus wall system. This product, patented product, is the focus of today's course presentation. We developed our course and the objectives with this product in mind. It has continuous insulation, thermal efficiency. It's an air and water barrier protection involved in the complete wall assembly, rain screen performance, fire resistance, time, labor savings, sound attenuation benefits, and has a 15-year system warranty. We'll cover a little bit about this more towards the end of the presentation, but just wanted to show you what we are all about here at Old Mill Building Products. So any finish, veneer, masonry veneer finish, we can accommodate essentially. So we'll go ahead and jump right into our course objectives. So as I mentioned, as you can see, our course today is advancing sustainability with high installation values. So let's jump right in. So sustainability, that is the ability to maintain or support a process over time without depleting natural or physical resources. It's often broken into 3 core concepts: economic, environmental, and social. Sustainability is a social goal for people to coexist here on Earth. So sustainable installation is an important aspect of energy efficient and eco-friendly buildings. It can help reduce energy consumption, improve indoor comfort for the occupants, and promote sustainable living practices. So the goal is optimal sustainability, and that's achieved through energy codes, which I'm sure you're fully aware of. They're critical to ensuring the buildings are safe, energy efficient, and environmentally friendly. Energy codes have been in place since the 70s and have reduced energy waste by almost 1/3 in US buildings. Today's energy codes represent a 55% improvement in energy efficiency at the national level. Building codes address critical societal concerns, including public health, safety, and environmental protection. So together, this suite of codes play a significant role in determining buildings' quality, safety, and energy efficiency for its entire lifespan. They also impact operational maintenance costs and provide a universal language for architects, engineers, builders, contractors, manufacturers like us here at Old Mill Building Products and of course, inspectors. So what is the energy code? Energy use in buildings have a direct impact on the greatest challenges of our time. Economic well-being for individuals, businesses, companies, governments, dependence on foreign oil or national security, and then global climate change, which is a big issue today, and it's not going to go away anytime, especially in our lifetime. Individual health is at stake. For many families, energy costs are on the rise, so it's making it unaffordable to sustain a comfortable, conditioned indoor environment. I have some statistics here, pretty sobering, and really drive home the reality of building energy use. So 5 million commercial buildings and 115 million residential households in the US alone consume over 40% of the nation's total primary energy. Buildings consume 70% of electricity in the United States. 2007, carbon dioxide emissions, lighting, heating, cooling, cooking, refrigeration, water heating, and other building services that produce these carbon dioxide emissions, they totaled 2,517 million metric tons. So that's 40%. That's where that 40% of U.S. total came from, and which is 8% of the global total. So clearly, building energy use must be addressed. This protects the interest of the individual consumers, our country, and the entire world. So building energy codes are a critical component for the effort to curb the ever-growing impacts of building energy use. So there you can see some examples of energy codes. Those top two, IECC and ASHRA, I'm sure you're familiar with. IECC, or International Energy Conservation Code. That's a code that's revised every 3 years through an established code development consensus process administered by the ICC, International Code Council. It serves as a go-to source for states adopting an energy code. The ICC code is used or adopted in all 50 states as well as internationally. That's why it's important that every 3 years that version, that update is made so that states can be confident when they're adopting a well-vetted, updated, and feasibly implementable building energy code. ASHRA, the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, those codes are a set of building standards and guidelines that are used by professionals, agencies in the design, testing, and evaluation of specific products, concepts, and practices. ASHRA codes, they're developed kind of like IECC codes, consensus procedures that also include a public review. So those standards are derived from the same guidelines, but as well as a public review. Code benefits. Building energy codes, they set a minimum efficiency boundary that bring a lot of benefits. Research shows that if building energy codes were upgraded to be 30 to 50% more stringent or adopted more readily in states and effectively implemented, excellent progress would be made in the areas of energy consumption, cost savings, as well as CO2 reduction. Some stats here: reduced energy consumption, 3.5 quadrillion BTUs would be reduced by 2030. That's equivalent to 260 medium power plants. Big one, rising cost savings. That's nice for everyone. Could save more than 30 billion per year. That'd be back in the homeowners' pockets. And then obviously reducing the CO2 emissions, roughly by 3%. Could be reduced by 2030. So good benefits there. Where does the code come from? Community professionals from diverse areas of government and industry collaborate to develop building energy codes. Both the IECC and ASHRA develop, revise, and adopt in an open public forum. The openness, transparency of these processes is critical to the widespread acceptance of end results. Stakeholders representing a cross-section of interest are involved in maintaining these documents, and they include the design community, architects, such as a lot of you joining us today, designers, lighting designers, mechanical, electrical engineers, code enforcement community, builders, contractors, developers, manufacturers, once again, like us here at Old Mill Building Products, utility companies, energy groups, the academic community, and federal agency staff like the DOE, Department of Energy. So a lot of individuals and organizations are at play when creating or adapting or adopting these codes, rather, excuse me. Energy code adoption. So after energy codes are developed by those individuals previously stated, adoption of energy codes can occur in one of two ways: directly through legislative action, just like they would produce or come up with any law. Legislative action is one of the ways, or by regulatory action through agencies authorized by a legislative body to oversee the development and adoption of codes. When adoption is accomplished through legislation, a committee may be appointed to provide recommendations and or the draft of legislation. Or by regulatory action, states, local governments, they often appoint an advisory body comprising of representatives of the design, building construction, or enforcement communities. This advisory panel recommends revisions that should be considered for adoption. And basing their recommendations on model energy codes, the advisory panel considers modifications to the model codes to account for local preferences and construction practices. The panel also may serve as a source of information during the adoption process. Their recommendations then enter a public review process. So energy codes are a subset of building codes that set minimum requirements for energy efficient design and construction for new and renovated buildings. So the US alone, the DOE does not have a building code or energy code, or there's not a national building code. So instead, states, local governments, they can choose to adopt one of the national model energy codes. Or a modified version of the model code for their own state specific code. Excuse me. So the national model energy codes are developed by two private organizations, ASHRA and the IECC. The DOE, they participate in both the development of those processes, but have no special status. The DOE develops and submits code change proposals that strive to make cost-effective, energy-efficient upgrades to current model codes. But after each new model code is published, DOE also must determine if the new version saves energy relative to the old version. So that is how the energy codes are adopted. Typical adoption process for the state and local. You can see how this plays out. The code adoption process generally includes the following steps. A change is initiated by a legislative or regulatory agency with the authority to promulgate energy codes. Interested or affected parties also may initiate a change. The advisory body typically is convened and will recommend a new energy code or revisions to existing energy codes. Examples of typical initiators include state energy office, state appointed energy code council, or local building officials, mayor, city council. So particularly when the change is not initiated at the state level, or local building officials or policymakers may initiate change within their jurisdiction. The proposal undergoes a public review process consistent with the legislative or regulatory process under which the code is being considered. Public review options include publishing a notice in key publications, filing notices of intent, or holding public hearings. Interested and affected parties are invited to submit written or oral comments. The results of the review process are incorporated into the proposal and the final legislation or regulation is prepared for approval. Then the approving authority reviews the legislation or regulation. Revisions may be submitted to the designated authority for final approval for filing. After being filed, approved, the code becomes effective, usually on some specified future date. This delay creates a grace period that allows those being regulated to become more familiar with the new requirements. That grace period is between 30 days to half a year, 6 months. So that's the policy side of building energy codes. Once codes are adopted, they apply to design and construction in new buildings and renovated buildings. So as we covered, this will reiterate ASHRA and the IECC code. So people generally will speak about these codes. It's not shown in this table, but the current ASHRA code was updated in 2022. We can expect that next update in January 25, since they're revised every 3 years. The IECC code, that next update will be released here in the next couple of months, early 2024. So we should be seeing that roll out any day now. This is an interesting map. It shows the current IECC codes, where they're being implemented, or where they've been fully adopted, rather. Not as much green as it will be in 2030. You can see us here out in Utah, we're fully adopted or higher. Out in Texas, partial, some cities, I would imagine that's Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, those larger metroplexes. Some transitioning, Nebraska, Kansas. And then there's a lot of older energy codes still being used in the majority of the country. But by 2030, we can expect this, as we get closer to being net zero in our energy or our buildings, we can expect this map to be much more green. So which codes apply in which building types? IECC, that applies to both residential and commercial buildings. The current version, as I said, is the 2021 version. That's going to be, you'll see that more in residential builds. The ASHRA, on the other hand, applies to commercial buildings, multifamily, high-rise buildings, etc. Also updated every 3 years. The IEC, well, I mean, both the IECC and ASHRA, they can be used in many complex commercial buildings, but the ASHRA is likely going to be the one used for commercial builds. Energy cost budget approach, that's a lot better with the ASHRA. It's modeled and is outperformed on the buildings. Sorry. Some lighting designers also prefer the space-by-space approach to ASHRA. And then also it addresses more complex mechanical systems more comprehensively than the IECC. What does the code include? So these requirements affect the overall energy efficiency of any structure and can reduce the energy needed to maintain a healthy, comfortable, and fully functioning indoor environment. Quite comprehensive in nature. These energy codes, they apply to, as you can see, the wall, floor, ceiling, the complete building envelope, doors and windows, that's a huge one, the glass or glazing, using energy efficient methods there, heating, HVAC system, ventilating, cooling systems, lighting systems, water and heating. All of these play a part when considering code in buildings. Here's an overview of upcoming sustainability codes. So net zero by 2030 is the goal or target, often associated with efforts to combat climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The concepts of net zero refers to achieving a balance between the amount of greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere and the amount removed from it, typically through insulation or other offsetting measures. Achieving net zero emissions means that total emissions released into the atmosphere are effectively offset by the removal of an equivalent amount of greenhouse gases. This is a timeline of net zero energy buildings. You can see in 2007, the first net zero energy building was constructed in Seattle, Washington. And then in 2021, New York City passed a legislation requiring new buildings to be net zero by 2030. It's a big task and going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So the concepts of net zero energy buildings has gained traction as a major sustainability goal. These buildings aim to generate as much renewable energy on site as they consume, resulting in net zero energy balance. Several regions have introduced or proposed regulations to promote the development of net zero energy buildings, incentivizing their construction through financial or regulatory benefits. So what is a net zero building? It is a type of building that is designed and constructed to produce as much energy as it consumes over the course of a year. They're designed to minimize energy requirements by incorporating energy efficient strategies into design, construction, and the operation of new buildings, and undertaking retrofits to improve the efficiency of existing buildings. They can further reduce dependence on fossil fuel derived energy by increasing use of on-site and off-site renewable energy sources. How do we calculate net zero building? It's a simple formula for net zero energy building is to add together all the energy a building consumes and subtract the energy it generates on site. So taking into account the lighting, the walls, the roof insulation, glazing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, renewables, soft costs, like designing the building, and then building usage, and I guess ultimately the behaviors of the occupants of the building. So that's how we'll calculate and come up with what the net zero building outcome is. How do we achieve this? Kind of reiterating, the concept is often represented in the form of a pyramid. Insulation is part of the base that's included there at the bottom. So optimizing insulation is fundamental and foundational for building a net zero energy or net zero carbon building. I'm sure you've seen this map before too. R value plays a critical role in being sustainable and achieving these high insulation values. R value is a measure of insulation's ability to resist heat traveling through it. The higher the R value, the better the thermal performance of the insulation. So net zero homes are designed to create a superior envelope of climate control by insulating not just the walls and attics, like in most traditional homes, but also insulating the floors and ceilings. This means insulating all 6 sides of the building envelope with the type of thickness of insulating material that fits the specific needs of each surface. So the R value of insulation should be appropriate to the local climate. You can see on the map, R11 values should be met in those milder climates. You know, when you get into colder climates, get into the R40 or even R60 in extreme cold locations. Along with insulation, HVAC and electrical equipment, they play a critical role in managing the climate inside. They're composed of equipment that creates conditioned air or tempered liquid, conveys air or liquid through passageways, ducts, or pipes, and automatically regulates the amount to be conveyed via recirculation or exhausting. HVAC systems efficiency can be improved by adding equipment that can convert delivered gas or electric power efficiently, or by using economizers. Those allow the automatic use of outdoor air or allow users to regulate space conditions. So insulation Builders face similar compliance challenges with local building codes and applicable energy codes. They must keep the building within budget, whether it is established by the building owner or by their own business model. The builder must select products and materials that best fit the design of the building and satisfy the requirements of the energy code. So an example there, builders can use 2x6 studs instead of 2x4s for the walls of a home so that higher levels of insulation can be installed to meet the code. So increasing the wall framing size obviously will impact the cost of the finished materials used in building and also may affect the design. Existing buildings, so those retrofits, reconstruction, remodels. You can add solar panels. These can be installed on any building, residential or commercial. They generate renewable energy and help achieve net zero energy status. Energy efficient windows as well as doors, going back to that glazing, using the right glass, get better U values, better solar heat gain coefficients, reducing heating and cooling demands. Adding insulation, adding blow-in, spray foam insulation that's being used to enhance thermal performance in remodels and additions, as well as new construction projects. So those are just some examples of how we can get closer to achieving net zero building. More on insulation. So you want to make sure using sustainable materials, the recyclability of those materials, reducing your energy usage that's heavily dependent on the occupants, the building owners, lower emissions, reducing that carbon footprint, the thermal comfort for the occupants, all trying to go after these sustainability goals. So that's what we want to have in mind when using these insulation materials. So why overwork at one job when you could work just as hard enough at two? This is where our Panel Plus system can come into play. It is continuous insulation. Our wall system is sustainable, offers beautiful design options for masonry veneers to any surface. As I mentioned earlier, the rapid growth, popularity of thin adhered masonry finishes for exterior and interior applications, combined with new high performance design requirements of those energy codes for modern buildings, have created a need for fully engineered and tested building envelope designs. So high insulation values of the Panel Plus system, they already align with the requirements of these upcoming codes, the current and future. So the superior insulation of this system helps reduce heating and cooling demands, resulting in lower energy consumption during the building's lifetime. And that image there, that's a good shot of our stone Panel Plus. We'll cover that a little bit more here in a bit. Closer look at the Panel Plus. It's proven to be time-saving and installer-friendly. The Panel Plus system allows the building designer to realize virtually unlimited design flexibility, full code compliance, and energy efficient design. And it's very cost effective compared to other methods of installing this kind of exterior veneer. So this shot here gives you a good idea of the complete wall assembly. Once again, we offer a 15-year warranty on this system, and it is the most cost-effective way to install a masonry veneer. Some more benefits of Panel Plus. High R value, we can achieve up to an R20. Moisture resistance, we have vapor diffusion channels built into the wall assembly. And durability, we passed or we're code compliant with the NFPA 285 testing, which deals with fire resistance. We use high quality insulation materials when we develop Panel Plus. This is touching on the NFPA 285. It tests for the vertical and horizontal flame spread. This being code compliant with NFPA 285 has allowed us to win or land much larger commercial projects over 4 stories or 40 feet. So our warranty applies to this testing as well. The insulation properties, Panel Plus, the continuous insulation, that's what separates us from other methods. That's what our founder had in mind when he designed this product line. The EPS foam inherently, I mean, it's made out of foam, it's insulation, it's embedded in its DNA. So metal, composite, vinyl systems, they'll fail in extreme climate conditions. They have to seek out foam insulation values through other means to add on to their wall assemblies. Our panels come in 1 inch up to 4 inch thicknesses, depending on your R value needs. And that is the R value just within the wall assembly. So additional insulation can be added to the interior in between the studs or wherever. So the complete R value with an all said and done wall could be greater than R20. The R20 value comes from our wall assembly alone. It's simple and fast, so much easier installation process, much faster and lower labor cost. You do not need an experienced mason or veteran mason to install this product. So it's what helps us convince to get customers to jump on board when taking on a new product like this. Traditional methods like scratch and lath, that requires a veteran, very well experienced mason. That process, it's going to require 2 layers of water resistant barrier, followed by a metal lath to install, which can be a pain to deal with. Then you have to trowel on your scratch coat, and then you have to pop lines and let the scratch coat set up. A lot of additional steps and processes you have to follow to install traditional methods. That's why Panel Plus, it does not require seasoned, well-experienced mason to install. So labor costs aren't near as high as traditional methods. Even the vinyl composite metal panels, they require additional steps to add insulation to their wall assemblies. Those material types as well are more prone to issues such as warping or bulging. Vinyl, metal, they don't perform as well in extreme heat or cold as foam, which is inherently has insulation built into it. Oh. Once again, just reiterating, the installation is a breeze. No metal panels, they can be difficult to cut on a job site. Panel Plus, it's foam. You can cut it with your car keys if you wanted. Really easy to work with. It's lightweight. Once again, any level of labor can take on one of these projects, so your customers will feel comfortable tackling this project or your product on their job site. Adhesive application, we have 2 ways of installing. We'll cover here in a bit, mechanically fastened or adhesive. The adhesive application is typically what we see the most of and performs a bit better. Once again, cut to fit, what I said about being able to cut this with your car keys. Faster install, we've had jobs install in 1/3 of the time compared to traditional methods. And it's simple steps, which we'll cover right now. 4 easy steps. You prep the wall, seal against air and vapor. So if you're adhesively applying, we have a patented air and water barrier that you can roll on or spray on. If you're mechanically fastening, you use a Tyvek wrap. So you prep the wall, then you apply the panels using our old mill adhesive. So you trowel on the adhesive directly onto that water resistive barrier, apply the panels, just make sure they're level. They have a tongue and groove system on the panel. So very easy to install the panels to the wall. After they set up, you use that same adhesive to apply the thin brick, stone, or tile to the panel. Once that sets up, all you need to use is a Type S mortar. for the joints, and then you're done essentially in 4 steps. So customers definitely like using this product. Some advantages for residential and commercial projects: enhanced aesthetics, faster construction, cost savings, improved energy efficiency, like the topic of today's course, retrofitting or remodeling. It's very easy to cut these panels to fit any job that's already existing, durable, low maintenance, and it's environmentally friendly. EPS foam does not have a degradation value, and it's R value. We have dozens of technical drawings and specifications. So no matter what the project is, we've tackled it more than likely. We've done multifamily projects, educational, K through 12 schools, higher education, hospitality, medical, hospitals, public safety buildings, justice, municipal buildings, civic, federal, you name it. We have the technical documentation that you would need. We have specifications ready for you, and all the technical drawings you could need. So we have the technical resources available to anyone. Here are some projects we have done. This is the view at Sugar House, a local project, very large apartments above, retail. This was our panel plus. It used different depths, I think 1 inch to 3 inch panels for the architectural relief. You can see the protrusions of the wall. So the designers were able to, our panel plus was able to accommodate the designer's needs in getting this set up for the project. Another commercial build. This was a hotel down in Arizona. Once again, you can see the architectural relief there. Happiest Hour, that's a stone project out in Dallas, Texas that we helped out on. This 7-Eleven is a good example of different retail or chain companies we work with, Habit Burger, Outback Steakhouse, Chick-fil-A. They're seeking us out just due to the easier installation and the benefits that come with Panel Plus. Another apartment building here in Utah. Oh, the apartment building actually has stone there at the bottom as well. So kind of nice to see the stone and brick being married on a project, which is very popular today. This is a stone ledger project out in Vegas. This one to the right, that's a new apartment building in New York City. That stone project, there isn't a stone panel plus competitor currently. So that's one benefit of our panel plus stone version. Other methods would just be a traditional scratch and lath. So we've really been able to tackle a lot of stone ledger jobs that required a certain R value aspect. Also residential, we work with some residential builders that have used our panel plus as well as the brickwork project. So we can take on both commercial and residential jobs with this product. Once again, these are our brands: Old Mill Brick, Old Mill Accents, and Old Mill Systems. I fall into the Old Mill Systems category. That's where you'll find Panel Plus. And that about does it for my presentation. I hope you picked up some little golden nuggets of info. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Real quick, these 2 images I've thrown in. This gives you a good idea of the stone panel plus as well as the brick. And if you draw a line right down the middle of that triangle, on the left, you'll see the adhesive applied application versus on the right, the mechanically applied application. These are shadow boxes that we can make. We send them out to our customers so that they can have a hands-on, I guess, sample of our product. So whatever technical information, literature, samples you need, we're more than happy to send you a care package of all that you're looking for. There's my contact info there. And once again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, please stick around, and that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parker. Yeah, quick reminder, please submit some questions. I know there are quite a few there already, so we'll answer some of these out loud. And if anyone has a question that feels difficult to type out, if you have a project-specific question that you want to say out loud, go ahead and raise your hand and I will unmute you so that you can ask your question out loud. You do not have to turn your video on, so I promise it's not that scary, but yeah, would love to get some engagement from the audience if anybody's feeling brave today. Our top here. So you have insulation between studs and then additional panels on the outside. Any concerns using two separated isolation layers?
So we have continuous insulation in our wall assembly. There may be some thermal bridging that occurs, but we just end up adding up our wall assemblies, our value with the corresponding insulation used, I guess, in between the studs. Like I said, there could be some thermal bridging, but we haven't really encountered a job that required or demanded an R value, that was R50, R60 in the US.
Right.
I hope that answers your question.
Great. All right. And next up, how often do you use this product in the southern part of Florida?
In Florida, I would have to do some digging. Kirk, our VP of sales and marketing, is on here as well. He might know. I don't know if he can chime in on that. I know we've done some jobs, like I mentioned, in Texas. So those humid, hotter climates, we've definitely taken on. I've gotten some quotes out for jobs down in the Keys, but I would have to do some researching to get you a project profile. And I could even put you in touch with those customers that have installed our products. But I would have to do some digging on that. Kirk, do you have anything on that?
No, I was actually doing the same, just trying to look through some of the files because the system's been around so long and with hundreds of projects and all around the country. I was just trying to find some of those in that south area of Miami. I know we have some, but we'd probably Parker will prepare that project profile and be able to send those over if we can look into it.
Yeah, but if we can get that person's contact info, we can follow up and give them all their information they've needed. And as I mentioned, the product does have a 15-year system warranty, and it's been around 20 plus years, and we haven't had a warranty claim in that time. But we do provide that 15-year warranty.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Next up, would love to understand pricing as compared to a traditional masonry wall.
So that's a question we get quite often. We are more cost effective. It's really dependent on the market and the, I guess, competitive product. If it's a traditional masonry wall down in Texas, traditional brick is much more, it's cheap, more cost effective. So that's why our continuous insulation, the R values that you can get from Panel Plus, that's where that comes into play. That's where it becomes a benefit. So it's kind of hard to compare it because there's really nothing that's apples to apples compared to Panel Plus. Depending on where you're at, we can get you cost comparison analysis thrown together. And we'll obviously give you the pricing on our products, but I would have to see what product you're looking at. Is it a traditional brick installation, traditional job like that? Is it a vinyl panel, thin brick masonry, veneer, metal, composite? So it really is dependent because that question kind of has a wide range. So it would depend on what other products you're looking at. But we are more than happy to give you a cost analysis comparison of our Panel Plus product versus whatever other options you're looking at.
Cool. All right. Any patterns and textures available for CAD or BIM software?
CAD or BIM software. Kirk, you want to take that one?
Yes, so we do have several files. I wonder if for patterns and textures, if we're talking about herringbone and that type, or if we're just talking about our general assemblies of all of
Right.
those, which we do have available in Revit and also in our CAD software. We have those as downloads and available for anybody, and also on let's see. Yeah.
Right. I think that's another question that it depends on what you're looking for. Panel Plus, you can cut it to make any pattern you like. And we have some guides and even videos that show you that. So if it's traditional, just, courses straight across, that's typically easier. But if you want a herringbone with the Panel Plus, there's ways or methods that you can cut the panel to get a certain, staggered pattern or herringbone pattern. So once again, it's really dependent on that pattern you're looking for. But I think we would be able to come up with the drawings or technical information that you would look for. We have some architects, designers that we work with that help us with our drawings. So if it's something that we do not have by any chance, which I doubt, we have someone that can quickly throw us together a drawing. And his turnaround time has been great for us. We had a customer, they do panelized wall systems, hospitals up in the Midwest, and they had a drawing request that we did not have on file. And our guy was able to turn around, I think, within 1 week, or actually less than a week, rather. So depending on what you're looking for, I'm sure we have it, but if we don't, we'll be able to get it for you.
Awesome. All right. Any issues with condensation?
No. Since I have been here, I haven't come across or had any issues come up with that. EPS, has some permeability to it. We use a type 2 EPS, expanded polystyrene foam. So it has some vapor diffusion in it. I kind of skipped over this. So when you install our wall system adhesively, you trowel on our old mill adhesive vertically. So that creates a vertical channel for moisture flow to escape and move around. Essentially, airflow is what's going to push that moisture. And on the back of the panel itself, there are horizontal channels. So when you apply this, you have a rain screen running vertically and horizontally for air to flow through and move that moisture around. And on top of that, EPS foam inherently has some vapor diffusion permeability qualities that'll allow that moisture to escape. Also, issues like efflorescence, we don't have any with that. It doesn't cause any of the chemical makeup, the minerals in the brick to, leak. We can recommend some types of seals to use, sealants to use on the brick. But moisture, no, that's not an issue that I've had much experience with since I've been on with old mill building products.
Great. All right. Do the horizontal ribs on the back panel interfere with weeping of moisture that penetrates the brick veneer and mortar joints?
No. So if installed correctly, like I was just talking about, we haven't had any issues like I mentioned earlier, the warranty claims. There hasn't been any, mold or mildew issues with the product. So if installed correctly, with the horizontal or the liquid applied application, you have those vertical channels in the adhesive itself, and then those horizontal channels. So if I keep saying installed correctly, you'll have those channels still to move that moisture around and escape through the bottom of the wall assembly. With mechanically fastened using Tyvek, the corrugation in the Tyvek, that's that vertical channel, and then obviously the horizontal channel on the back. So there's definitely escape for the moisture. I want to see if I can get to an image that shows this better. That is a very common question, the moisture escaping. You can kind of see on this one, those little notches in the back of the panel. We should probably get a better image, but gives you the idea of how the moisture is meant to escape. So like I said, we haven't had any issues of water buildup. The water is more than likely, it's going to be, if installed correctly, it's going to be able to escape.
Cool. All right. Someone asks, apply what material to Tyvek?
The panel plus.
Okay.
Is that what all the questions said?
Yeah, that was the whole question. So yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So the mechanically fastens, we'll typically use a Tyvek. We provide the washers, the fasteners, depending on the studs, if it's steel or wood, you'll get the installer will get their fasteners elsewhere, but we'll provide the washers. So the panel plus goes directly onto the Tyvek, and you use those washers to fasten in, and the washers are designed not to damage or break the insulation, so you keep that continuous insulation factor.
Mhm.
I hope that answers their question.
Cool. All right. Oh, they had a follow-up to that. They said, so no adhesive.
You'll use the adhesive still to apply the thin brick or stone or tile on the opposite side, but that's why we call it mechanically fastened. If you're fastening with screws and washers, you don't need the adhesive on that backside. And honestly, since I've been on board, we see people just doing the fluid applied, using the adhesive, using our air and water barrier as well as the adhesive. So I've seen mostly the liquid applied. It performs a bit better, and you don't have to deal with screws and nails with the mechanically fastened application. It typically goes quicker with the fluid applied.
Cool. All right. They say, thanks. That makes sense. So cool. All right. I'm going to go to this one while we're actually on this slide still. Someone asks, shouldn't the notches be vertical, not horizontal, to allow moisture to escape?
So that's the concept of troweling on our adhesive vertically. That's where that vertical channel comes from. So we have the horizontal, molded into the EPS foam. The vertical channel is whenever you trowel on our adhesive. I may have an image that better shows that. The moisture question, I need to have several slides on this. This is something we get asked a lot on.
Yeah.
Let me get to. This kind of shows how you trowel on our adhesive vertically. So those are those vertical channels. And if installed, you're not, pressing the panel too hard, you're still going to have those vertical channels running, every half inch down the wall. So moisture is going to be able to escape vertically via the adhesive troweled onto the wall itself, and then those horizontal channels. And like I said, we haven't had any issues or warranty claims or failures in our wall system in the past 20 years. So moisture is definitely escaping. Like I said, we keep getting asked about that. I think we need to have another AIA course about moisture escaping and dig into that better. So I appreciate that question. I'm gonna get more info on that.
Cool. All right. Looks like we might have time for one or two more. What are the burning characteristics for fire rating?
So with the NFPA 285 testing, the characteristics of the EPS foam, they could give me more detail of what they're looking for. So we have another component when it has to be NFPA 285 code compliant. Let me jump to a different image. It's called the fire block, and this will go above your headers of doors and windows. I'll just go back to this diagram. It is an EPS foam block with a concrete coating on it, essentially. So it'll keep the structural integrity above that window door or window or door header. So the foam is going to melt in, I want to say, like close to 600 degrees. A fire is going to be what causes the foam to actually melt. That coating of cement around this fire block, it's going to keep its integrity, its strength. That foam's going to melt, and there are channels that through these horizontal and vertical channels where air flow occurs, that's what we need to seal off to prevent vertical and horizontal flame spread. So when that foam melts in that concrete, that cement coating on the fire block above the headers of the windows, that stays in place. The foam's going to melt and seal off those cavities of vertical and horizontal, those channels that allow air and moisture flow. So if you seal off that, you're going to suffocate the fire and prevent it from further spreading horizontally or vertically, because that's the whole testing of NFPA 285. They shoot out a flame. You go back to that one slide. They shoot out a flame, and you can see how it's going up the exterior of the wall. So trying to suffocate the flame at this point to prevent it from spreading up further is the whole purpose of being NFPA 285 code compliant. And I hope that answered their question of what they're looking for.
All right, great. I think that's awesome. And then with that, we are at time. So just want to thank everyone again so much for joining today. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Parker and Kirk, for the amazing presentation, for answering all these great questions. All right, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday break if you're taking a break. And we will see you in the new year.
All right. Thank you all.
Bye.